Survivor is a game that is built upon three pillars. Those pillars represent the physical, strategic, and social aspects of the game. For my series, The Pillars of the Game, I will be looking at a season of Survivor and see which players best represent each pillar, and who best touches on all three. I won't overlap players, so while the player who is best overall might also be the best physical player, I will only choose them to represent one of those pillars. In Survivor Africa, the players are shown as far more complex and layered, meaning that any of the final five players likely could fit into the overall best slot. I will try to make the best fit for each of these players, however. For the strategic portion represents the player that was making the right decisions to get them to the end, using what advantages they can to get the best opportunities to get to the end, whether that's forming the right alliances or properly using an immunity idol. For this season, I think it comes down to three people for the strategic player. One, our winner, Ethan, made the right decision to get to the end, but he wasn't as overtly strategic as other players on this season or as the past winners. Lex was the dominant force throughout the season, making the most big decisions for his alliance, but this also put him out front to be a target. So that leaves us with my choice for the strategic pillar of the season, Teresa. T-Bird was consistently trying to overthrow the power structure created by Lex, which dominated the season, and she clearly seen what had to be done in order to flip the votes against him. She just couldn't quite make it. Despite trying to do this, she never got the votes turned against her until she was the final Samburu standing. And even then, she tried to make something happen. She managed to do this by only revealing information when she had to, and otherwise just being nice all the time. For the physical portion can also be defined by the challenge beast of the season, who performed best in the challenges. I will tend to give more weight to the individual challenges, but the tribal challenges will also factor in. This is likely the easiest one to pick, but I want to give some other players their dues. Kim Johnson wins a couple of clutch immunities at the end to secure her place in the final tribal council, but she got pretty lucky in those, and in all other challenges was either a non-factor or negatively affected her tribe. Clarence was taken out for being too big of a threat, and he was strong in the tribal portion, as well as coming in a close second to T-Bird in the first individual challenge, but he was taken out too early to showcase his physical abilities. Ethan won an immunity and a reward, but also might have cost his tribe a couple of times in pre-merge, though one time was on purpose. So that leaves us with Lex, who won 3 immunity challenges and could have potentially won a 4th if not for a production blunder. He also won 2 individual reward challenges and about half of the tribal challenges. In all the individual challenges, he at least finished in the top half and often in second or third place. On to the social portion. The social portion of the game represents the player that best connected with others and was most favored by the jury. This player had the trust of the other castaways and could convince them to join their side. There are many players that fit the mold for best social players, so narrowing it down to one isn't easy. Lex is the leader in camp, and we are often told that everyone likes him, but that isn't really what is shown. As we know, Kelly doesn't like him, and Kim J says that she voted him out because he seemed entitled. Big Tom is seen as the lighthearted, fun guy around camp that lightens the mood, but we also know that his behavior might have rubbed some of the women the wrong way, as well as saying some offensive things towards both Clarence and Brandon. T-Bird, as I already said, was well liked by everyone and used that to her advantage strategically, but there lies the problem. I've already picked her for strategy. Ethan is often considered as a winner with a great social game, and I agree he is the most likable winner we've seen so far, but he does have some faults in his social game. Firstly, we know Kelly felt he never made an effort to get to know her, and he didn't do very well on his final tribal council performance, showing he didn't understand the other players that well. So that leaves us with Kim Johnson, who made it to the end, mostly on her social game. Early during the tribal phase, despite being the oldest and weakest physically on the Baran tribe, the rest didn't want to vote her out, and even put in extra effort at the immunity challenge so they wouldn't have to vote her out. Later, her social bonds made her the one that T-Bird would turn to in an attempt to flip, but she was loyal to her alliance. One of the immunities she won was the Fallen Comrades quiz, and while production messed up on the answers, she didn't, and was rewarded for having gotten to know everyone around the camp. During the final tribal council, she actually managed to flip 2 votes that would have been for Ethan to herself, making it a little bit closer. Now for the overall best player. The best overall player is the one who best exemplifies a mix of the 3 categories. It could mean they dominated in all 3 categories, or that they were just an okay player, but they utilized each of the 3 pillars to some degree. Each of the 3 players I've already named to the other pillars could also qualify for overall, as they each have merits in each category, but nobody fulfills each to the same extent as the winner, Ethan, did. Ethan, as I have already mentioned, was good socially, being the most likable winner to date, and got there through having a strong alliance. Physically, he won both an individual immunity and reward challenge, and though he may have cost his tribe on a couple of tribal challenges, he was also very good in the other ones. Strategically, he joined the right alliance and made decisions to keep votes off of himself and onto his biggest threats. In order to do that, he even threw one of the tribal challenges to vote out Silas while they had the numbers to do so. He also kept Lex in front of him as a bigger threat and bigger target while he slipped through to the end. That covers our 3 pillars of the game for the 2nd season, Survivor Africa. A much more balanced cast, and to reiterate, that was Teresa for strategy, Lex for physical, Kim Johnson for social, and the winner Ethan for overall. This is the first season where the winner has been named the overall pillar and not the strategic one. We'll keep an eye out on where the winners fit in each of these going forward. That's all for this one. If you like it, hit like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.